and whatever I see is smiling at me. Love is who I am. Hello there, beloved Ascension Pioneers, and welcome to this Ascension update with me. It will be an Equinox, Eclipse, and of course the standard Ascension energy update, and sharing my wisdom. A lot of it again will be about relationships, because for those of you who are in the path of being a pioneer, of establishing a new path, because this is what a pioneering energy means. You're going where humanity hasn't gone before. You're doing things a different way. A lot of times you might be triggered because people won't always understand it. They will have this weirdness aspect towards how you are, how you behave, how you speak even, because the eloquence of our speech doesn't always make sense to others. So it's very important for us in this path of ascension, descension, so the integration of our vertical, horizontal aspects of being has to merge, and it has to become simplified. You know, we have to become reachable also to people, and the way to, you know, share our cosmic wisdom with beings who are basically on this path of pioneering, frontiering, doing this work of conscious self-integration and self-mastery. But also when we go out and mingle with people, when we do things that we would call random, casual, random acts of kindness, sometimes you don't think you are in the mission, but this is a 24/7 mission. I always say this to all of my beautiful pioneers. So during our ventures and escapades, and a lot of you also will go around the planet and you will travel and you will do different things, still, you know, the essence of what you do will be about the pioneering, will be about the sharing and simplifying our knowledge to the degree that it can become accessible to anyone. So I remember a few years back reading my astrological chart, and it said that I attract and mingle with people from all walks of life. So when we truly establish our vertical understanding of the self and reach the level of horizontal potential of embodying that, actually integrating that essence, we will know how to speak within each person coming into our life, how we engage with each fragment of life in an individual, intuitive way. So a lot of what we have been in these ascension talks and ascension topics and all that's shared publicly via many different sources online, and you know, people doing all these different workshops, still we will have to filter and distill the wisdom of how we relate to every thread of life. So this is our next step of mastery. Within mastering our so much of the self that we know how to now venture out into the world, relate to others in a way that with each segment, with each different person, there will be a different approach. So although I know people have been trying different techniques and methods and whatever, you know, there's a time and point and space in our self-mastery when we have to synthesize that. And I have been speaking a lot about the synthesis in my videos recently. And this means that we accept all aspects, and the unity consciousness is us knowing how to respond to every single part of our life without any separation. And when we don't have that filter of separation, we'll be naturally guided. We'll be guided by our stream of life force, how to respond, how to commune, how to express ourselves clearly with a different being, with each different person coming into our life, that we're always in service. It's not about helping another. It's not about you thinking someone comes and approaches you and now you need to save them, now you need to rescue, now you need to help them become different on their path. It's about you embodying the unconditional love that has been avoiding so many. It has been, you know, it's been always so simple and translucent, but in this game of Earth's polarization that was very intense and very dualistic, it has become elusive to so many beings. So we're now here establishing this. So basically what I'm receiving is that this March equinox period and a gateway, which is always about equilibrium and temperance. So the first message that I received doing my daily guidance on my Instagram and Facebook pages, when we began this new cycle with Aries energy coming forth really strongly, passionate fire energy, it's basically again about the temperance archetype, which is, it's always about balance, and it always comes back to you, it comes back to us. So with the eclipse happening in Libra, it's a full moon lunar eclipse, and almost simultaneously to our equinox, it is all about our equalization in relationships, but it's all about now this horizontalness of our vertical understanding. Because as we've been going through our mastery, and a lot of you have been having many initiations, there's probably a lot of you who's also been doing my courses. You know, I have a package of self-mastery courses. Each one is a specific call out to a specific aspect of what we need to master to really know how to walk in all walks of life. How, with everything we're facing, there's always mastery that is at hand. It's where we're coming from. It's the essence of our stabilization. So even if you're having a seeming argument with another, or they might be in conflict or argument and they might be projecting, even though you will feel in this overlaying aspect a little bit of that confusion and separateness coming forth, but that aspect that is still within you, that pure stillness, serenity, that peace will be fixated. You will establish that pillar, and I've been talking a lot about that. So once we reach that state, there's nothing else but for us to act from it in every single way possible. And it's not about even trying to act from it. It's not even about trying to do new projects, create new live streams. It just becomes a natural living thing. Our mastery is becoming very human at this point. It's what I'm noticing within myself. And the key word is embracing the rainbow spectrum of our human experience. Because if we think that we're going to be masters on earth, which is basically nothing else, we're not going to be any special or, you know, floaty or anything like that. I know a lot of people, when they see us talk about this, they might perceive us as weird because of the different words that we're using, and they're not used to that. And I know I use a lot of these words too, and for a lot of people they might seem absurd even, or new agey, or, you know, just non-imaginable. So this is an aspect of us. This is who we are. We have this cosmic wisdom. We have understandings that sometimes people can't put them into words. And because I was placed here for my own specific mission, is trying to do my best to verbalize that cosmic and put it into human forms. And a lot of people, when they cross my path and they look at my videos and the content that I'm producing and creating, they're saying the things that they're feeling and expressing, they couldn't find a better way than seeing how I'm expressing them, that it really mirrors what they're feeling, but a lot of times they can express it. So this is just a natural gift, for example, that I have. And all of you have beautiful gifts that are so unique to you that no one else on the planet has it just like that. But the key is here about allowing ourselves to also live out that simple part of us, which is our human part. Embracing our human nature is something I've been talking a lot about recently. And we won't be masters if we don't really descend in our human form to the degree that we don't perceive ourselves as any different from others. Otherwise than just knowing that it's just the remembrance within us of who we truly are that's so empowered, and that's what people will be magnetized to, as drawn very naturally. So I have a few points here that I made that I want to address in my booklet. And what I feel, you know, is just that this specific eclipse is really now bringing us to this point of personal liberation, which is also directly linked with sexual liberation. Because if you look at the nature of how humans have been either repressing sexuality or overindulging in it in a way that's very non-heavenly, if you know what I mean. They've been sexualizing societies and influencing even especially the younger generations. So while a lot of people from the older generations have been having extreme projections and denial of the sexual life force, you know, and how it comes true, there was a lot of younger generation that had a different influence, which is the over-sexualization of our population. So we're bringing that together, and a lot of us have this path when we need to do this within ourselves first, so that we reach this total sexual liberation, that we understand that our sexual life force is everything. It's how we express ourselves. If you have someone doing a dance or climbing a rock or going hiking a mountain, they do it in a very unique way. You know, even how we walk. How we walk basically shows our different unique nature. We have no human that would have the same walk, you know. So basically, even our sexual life force that we might render to, you know, sensual nature of our beingness will be uniquely expressed. And because we have been suppressing that for eons and eons of time, it hasn't been coming out authentically, and we then filter that out to other aspects of our life, so that, you know, we're always making it something that we have to maintain from the superficial side of us, rather than just from the inner fountain of life, which is just the eternal youth state of who we are. It's that infinite nature of our creative self, our divine child. So with this new energy stream, and I know a lot of you know that these energy streams and waves are coming from the cosmic rays. A lot of it has to do with cosmic rays, but also how we receive energy. Then through these cosmic rays, they're filtering through our solar system, through the sun life force. But also we have impacting comets. We have many streams of energy, and they're all impacting us. So a lot of times when we feel certain things and we don't know why, we have fatigue, why we can't sleep, why we have insomnia, and you know, our earthly activations, which you would say maybe the eclipses are part of that, and you know, every lunar cycle, and you know, they're just a tiny fragment of the overall activations we're receiving. So these cosmic rays, as you know, they're mutating us, they're changing our life streams, they're changing our physical temples, and as well as a lot of people are trying to force these changes, like forcingly, even maybe some people are trying to fast themselves, or trying to establish different ways of how their bodies would work, but a lot of them are doing it maybe still a little bit through force. Well, this is a very natural process we're actually undergoing, this ascension, and when we allow these live streams to just naturally move us and our physical body temples, it's just going to be much more simple for us, because we're going to understand ascension as something that we're not trying for. We just have to allow it, and we have to live from that highest aspect of ourselves, and this aspect will change everything, because this aspect will say to each cell of our living organism, you know, this is what is best and the highest good for you to do. This is your task now. Do it in a way that's very pro-life, not against life. And sometimes if we're going to try to force the body more, we're going to create more friction than we would if we would create more allowance. So being intuitive with our bodies is very important at this time. And all those of you maybe who are doing lots of exercises and yoga and whatever kind of thing, don't force your practice. Make it a spontaneous routine. You know, yesterday I came here and I did yoga here in nature, and I knew that when the season begins I'm going to be having new different routines, because none of my routines are ever the same. So I'm going to be doing lots of yoga outside. There are lots of other things I like to do, but I also notice when my body is out of balance. If I get very tired and fatigued, I know that I've been overdoing it, and although I know I'm very hyper in the nature of my energy, my body doesn't always handle it, because we don't always see how much we have to handle just with embracing and streaming for these new cosmic energies. So with this equinox and eclipse, what's taking place is that there's a new life force energy stream happening. For a lot of you who've been going through this cyclical nature of your self-mastery, and you feel like you've arrived at this level, but you can't really pinpoint where it is, where you are, and you've been feeling this void. Well, trust me, I've been having the same. And this is usually the truth when we're right in front of the new cycle. But you know, just before you begin a new birth, you don't like jump into it. There's a pondering phase just in front of it. There's like this gestation period when you're just allowing things to naturally bubble up, to surface up. So this new life force stream is bringing and coming in. For a lot of us, it's coming through our prime connections. Like for example, for me, a lot of this sacred sexuality is coming through the live stream of the Pleiadian connections and the 7 sisters of Pleiades. And this allowance will happen for you when you just know that you don't have to think about what's happening. You trust your life force. So when with this new sexual energy coming through our prime connections, and all those of you who feel very star-seeded in that way, if I can even call it that way, but you will feel these new bursts, and you won't always know how to handle them, because at first it will just feel like intensity, and you won't know maybe the beginning what to do with it, and would feel like, what do I do with it now? How do I handle this? What's my new venture now? And don't try to push it, you know, it's really going to come on its own very, very naturally. So this new creative burst is happening, but a lot of it is still just in this gestation, germination period. So this allowance of our human form, how we are here to experience, because even though we're here on the path of mastery and we're going to be of service to others who are ongoingly moving through these cycles on their own as well. Some of them are just starting. For a lot of them will feel like, what the heck is happening? I don't understand. The realities will start to shift. We've been going at it through maybe years and years, but it's been more ongoingly steady. Now with the people who are just going to begin, it will feel maybe rapid changes happening, you know, and we will experience this. So for us, it's very important that we learn how to relate with fellow humans, because we're all from one cosmic family. It's just how we are. It's just different degrees of awareness that we're moving through, and different variations of creation of how we are filtering our own source life force. So it's very important that we understand that we're here for ourselves first, so we have to feed our sacred vessels, but we're also here to show the way to others. And this allowance of our human experience connects us with others. If we don't, we're kind of separating ourselves, and we're saying, you know, we're not just like the rest of our cosmic family. We're not, you know, a lot of people have been negating their humanness and saying, no, I'm of star origin, I'm not human. And maybe we've all done that in a certain period when we felt that, you know, a part of the human experience has been very dark and very deprived of life force and very non-loving and non-compassionate, but it still doesn't make us separate from it. You know, we don't have to have those tendencies. There's a lot of us who are coming from the higher levels of creation, but still doesn't mean we're better or less than any other form of life. So it's important for us to allow ourselves these human experiences, to express and integrate them, because our cells are responding to our direct experience, and a lot of times you might have a knowing, but that knowing won't gestate, it won't start a new cycle with you allowing the experience as well, because it's the experience itself that it integrates. So our cosmic is always in parallel to our human nature. Okay, about our relationships, this is the most important aspect I want to talk about. It's right now, it's coming into this personal liberation of how we're independent, not attached, without any codependency with others. So we're learning how to deal with others without any interference, but still not being entangled in this false perception of being aloof or falsely detached. Because detachment is not the same as being aloof and not present with what is, and negating and suppressing. So a lot of people, especially in the spiritual dogmatic circles, they've been saying, oh, I'm so above this, I'm so neutral, I don't need to feel this, or I don't need to accept this person, or they're not a part of my life. Basically, every single thing is a part of our life, whether we want it or not, because we're living on this planet that is all life and beyond as well. We're just making our choices of what resonates for our own reality, but it's still, you know, in a way we are connected to all life. So we cannot really serve without feeling that we are deeply connected. So let me give you one example. I might live here in the mountains, right? And occasionally I get a visit or someone comes and they love the way I live, but they would say, oh, I would never live like you do. It's two little things. How can you just be here? And, you know, and it's unimaginable for them, right? But if we take that personally, and if we feel separateness because of it, and we feel like the stigma being placed upon us, we're not again allowing ourselves to feel every fragment of the human experience. So it's not personal, right? I felt rejection for my entire life, for example, because I've been doing things that a completely different way than anyone else. And people come and go, and they might be fascinated of what you do and how you live, but they would say, I would never live that way. So isolation and loneliness was, in a way, a big part of our life. I mean, I know it was for me. But as we're embracing more of this without separation, without feeling rejected, without feeling stigmatized, we'll embrace a new aspect of how we relate with others. So it's going to become less neutral in a way of feeling aloof and I don't need these people because they don't understand me anyway. It's going to become more, wow, it's how they see me. It's not personal, but I see them, because maybe you're going to get a higher perspective. You're going to see more because you've embraced more of that rainbow spectrum of the human experience, but you don't put yourself on a pedestal. I've had people all my life, especially online, because they see an aspect of you and they only perceive that aspect of you as being you, and they don't embrace your human. But you showing others more of your human nature is going to make you more divine, not less divine. That's the thing with people. They're gonna feel more closeness to you. They're gonna closely relate to you more than if you present yourself as this aloof being on top of the world. You're almost flying, you know. And a lot of the perception that people have about this is because of these imprinted beliefs that people have been spreading about these messiahs and masters who are above it all. And in truth of how they really were also just humans. That part which incarnated into this human experience was human, although their awareness and the consciousness behind their live stream incarnation was of the highest degree for a lot of these masters, and how they were then, of course, capable of mastering their human experience, but they were still having to go through the same challenges, initiations, and everything in the life. So basically for us, to allow ourselves to be more humane and more human in that sense, it's one and the same, and people will feel closer to us because of that. So getting out of our comfort zone means that it's just doesn't have to be something we perceive doing something you wouldn't want to do, because you already know how you want to create your reality, and it's with more love, more simplicity, not so many distractions and all that many people still are living through, but it's just still allowing yourself to just be as much human as anyone else, although you're choosing a higher aspect of a refined reality, but you're still human. So this false neutrality is not the same as being neutral, because neutral is compassionate in divine love. Aloofness is a detachment without any compassion. It's just ignorance sometimes. It can be to the extreme degree of being ignorant and suppressing through detachment. So let me mention some of the relationship issues that I've been writing about here. Pardon me. So the key to our ascension and sharing our embodiment, sorry, it's very windy here, so my voice is kind of getting low. So for us to really share not just what we know, our knowledge, but to share embodiment, this is the main source of why we're here, the main reason for us being here. Otherwise we could do all of energetic influences from the other realm, so how you perceive it. But we're here, right? So it's sharing our embodiment of love in its human experience, not just saying things, you know, sharing your knowledge, but then detaching yourself from others with aloofness and saying, I don't need this person in my life, or I don't need to see this person, or I don't need to do that. It's just shutting the doors to fellow brothers and sisters, because a lot of people in spiritual circles have been doing that, and I've had my own experiences with these people, and in the beginning I found them to be so knowledgeable, but then I saw that there's a lack of compassion behind it because of this aloofness. This feels cold, you know, it feels very cold, you know. It's not when we have those healthy boundaries, when you say, look, you know, I often have to say to people, look, I'm just one person. I can't talk to everyone's problems, which they perceive as problems in their life stories. With everyone separately, it's very hard for me, because just one person, and being exposed to so many of you beautiful souls and pioneers. But still, it's not the same as being cold, without feeling people, without, you know, it's just being ignorant about it, you know. It's just welcoming more of that, but in a way that it also fits us, that we feel also nourished and supported by life. So the most important thing at this time is not just saying things, or saying that we're going to pray to other entities or beings of light and angels, or they're going to come and they're going to, through us, they're going to do something. It's more about, and it always has been about, us becoming the exemplary forces of those essences, of these guidance beings and angels. So becoming these higher aspects ourselves, these qualities that they represent, and we now represent. So these higher aspects, that we are that with people, but without feeling separate, without feeling now we are separate from them, in a way that, you know, although you might live differently, have different choices, you're not separate. Everyone is a brother and a sister, and us feeling that makes us so deep and rich with love that people will start feeling it. And that's the difference between being spiritual in a way that you know things, you're very knowledgeable, you're sometimes getting even to the mode and extreme preachiness. We've all been there and done that, but we've seen how it doesn't work, and this was a part of our mastery. Every time we've been confronted with defense mechanisms from others and getting slapped in the face, or being denied of, you know, of what we wanted to share, people were rejecting our love, is because that love in a way has been filtering through a bit of that separation. And I know, because we have been establishing this defensiveness ourselves as well, because being exposed as gentle, nurturing, loving souls, exposed to these living conditions that sometimes were a bit harsh and not always so accepting. But because we have mastered our pillar, now we can drop those defenses, because people, by being exposed to that essence within us, they will start dropping their own, slowly, maybe not as fast as we are, but it will cause the catalyst within them to do the same when they're ready. So it's about becoming this ourselves, these essences, and what we say to people and how we assist and be of service is mostly nonverbal. So it's not things we say, the knowledge we share. And I know that when I'm sharing about these relationships, a lot of you might say, oh, isn't this about romantic relationships and partnerships? And this is all love, right? It's our biggest form of expression here as pioneers, is the love we have for all humans, for all life forms, for all life in creation. So it's not exclusive, right? That's why I'm generalizing it to a more higher degree than just a few of your most personal relationships, okay? That is why this comes out this way today. So this means that because it's just nonverbal, that what we are is more important. That means that how we deal with people will feel it, because they will feel us embracing them in a way that's not just verbal. And you might be sounding very knowledgeable and preachy and all of that, but they will still get defensive with you because they will feel that there's a part of you that is a bit aloof, right? So we have to drop that. The moment we drop the defenses, they will as well. And we have to do it first because we just have more awareness at this degree. That's why we're here as volunteer souls, right? So we're not going to wait for others to be a certain way before we can. We still have to establish boundaries. You know, oftentimes there's people who will share their stories with me almost like just dropping it out on me, like just, you know, I'm like a trash bin, and they're just like dropping all of what they have just on me without, you know, approaching me through sacredness and saying, look, I respect your time, can I share this with you? You know, this is how I always approach people. I never just interfere and just, you know, I respect everyone's free will. And that doesn't mean now you won't have boundaries, and you will respond with respect. So if you're not getting respect, you have to show the boundaries. You have to say, look, I will respond this way, I will respond for love, but please, you know, not without respect. We still have our personal spaces and our personal realities, and people need to respect that. But that doesn't mean that we're gonna do these boundaries when they're not needed. We're gonna create them when they're just in the way. So when we have that love for people, embracing them, and that unconditional acceptance is beyond just what we think we're saying and our knowledge. It's just being lovable, it's being embracing, it's being unconditional loving, not just being spiritual and knowledgeable. So sharing the core of the matter. You can share with people your own experiences. You can share with them what's the essence of that core, which basically it's very simple. It's all comes back to yourself. Every relationship, every mirror, every defensive feeling, every triggering you've had, every finger pointing, it all comes back to you. That's what we're showing to people. That's the only basic truth you can share. Every other single pathway that is in between is a personal truth that will be related to each specific individual separately. Will have their unique truth, and that's the part where we can't interfere. So assistance is non-interference. It's not the same. And that truth at its core is divine love, and that is what it all comes back to, that self. And we can teach people self-mastery just by being those masters. And then allowing everyone to live out their own life streams, their own choices, to make their own choices, because, you know, recently someone shared with me, well, my mom never listens to me. She always says, all my life, yeah, you know, she puts words in my mouth before I could even express myself, so I cannot be myself with her. And a lot of people do that because they might have knowledge, they might have spiritual awareness, but they don't fully embody what it means at its prime level of divine love. So that's living and letting live, trusting that everyone trusts themselves. And even if they would make what you perceive as a wrong choice, a negative or bad choice, it's not that way. It might seem like that to you, but their soul is choosing it for a reason, which you might not know, or you might know, but you're not to judge or to be a part of that, because it's what they're choosing. And although we're one, we're still living out this reality in our own way, and we're each coming into our self-mastery in a very unique way. So there's no one rule, one way, one path. You know, the dogmas of the spirituality, the church, they say Jesus is the way, he's the only way. Can you understand that this cosmos is so vast, and imagine one being holding the responsibility for all other beings and all life in creation, and that's the only way? How limiting is that? When you embrace the wideness and the depth of all life in creation, you would never even think of something like that. It's just preposterous to you. There is no one way, but the truth is one, at its core of unification, that it's all divine love and beauty and wisdom. So allowing everyone to have their experience and just observing them, and that's what everyone in the end needs. Everyone needs to feel like they feel understood, they feel accepted, they feel it's just what they feel. If they haven't had that experience, if they're not capable of feeling that within themselves, because of course that's our first assignment, is to feel that ourselves. It's all about self-love. To love thy God, it's to love thyself, because we are a part of that God, that prime life force and everything, and primordial nature of all. And if people don't have that, it's our gift, because we have mastered it, we can give it to others. So when we unconditionally see, everyone wants to be seen, and not everyone out is yet capable of seeing themselves that way. When you give them that gift, they will start blossoming like a beautiful lotus flower, and you're going to see beautiful manifestations taking place. Like I've recently witnessed myself in a returning past relationships, in a past relationship, and someone came back, and I knew it's going to be for a deeper purpose than just what it appears to be on the outside front. I knew there's going to be an equalization and something coming out, and because I've mastered myself during those years, I was able to perceive that being without those filters. And when we have those filters, we will see a distortion of that person. So, my beloved divine companions, I welcome you into this space of complete acceptance and unconditional love for all our brothers and sisters, so that we actually embrace each other without any false beliefs and imprints and any interference on our own behalf, because we are here to witness ourselves and are blossoming as our fellow brothers and sisters are blossoming right in front of our eyes. So as we're within this beautiful equinox and eclipse gateway, we're here to just welcome that essence of pure acceptance, which for a lot of people, it's the most difficult, challenging task as a human being, is to really love and just allow that love to transform anything that is not of love, because it's all a mask anyway. So have this beautiful time, and I will talk to you again very soon with always so much love, wisdom, power, and the grace of the divine self that we are. And I'll talk to you again very soon. Stay connected. Bye-bye.